There he is, yeah!
Did you guys like the movie?
Yeah!
Ari, how is Ari Aster retrospective weekend going for you?
Great. Happy to be here.
Do you ever watch your own movies?
Well, as a rule, I kind of don't. I remember trying to watch this one in a theater a few years ago, and I couldn't take it. It was killing me. But I just sat in for like the last hour, and I liked it. There's some scenes where I'm like, why are you still on the shot? It's taking so long to talk. Anyway, it started to work for me when they started on the final day. The final, yeah.
I have an analogy to make for you that maybe you'll agree with, or maybe you won't, or maybe you'll like it, or maybe you'll tell me I'm crazy. I just want to put this out there. You make your first film, you make Hereditary. You're probably expecting people will see it. You know, it's got Toni Collette, people are going to watch this movie. I don't know if you're expecting so many people are going to see it. And I was just thinking, it kind of feels like maybe you're not expecting that your next film is going to be making like such a giant thing. You're going to have so many eyeballs on you that in a way, you have been crowned horror's next May Queen. And everyone's scared to see what you're going to do. Am I crazy?
I don't know. I mean, well, the process of making Hereditary and Midsommar was very strange because Hereditary was a very hard experience. Just editorial on that movie was a nightmare. There was a financier. I'm not going to name any names, but it was terrible. And before Hereditary came out, they were already in prep on Midsommar. So Hereditary came out in, I think, June. Or was it July? It was June, I think. June 8th, maybe. And we were in production on this early August. So I was in Hungary prepping this. And so Hereditary came out, and I had never released a film, so I think I kind of, I don't know, I was surprised that it did so well, but I think I took it for granted, which I wouldn't do now. Because I have some other releases that... but I was so busy on this, and we didn't have enough money, everything was going wrong all the time. I would say Hereditary was the hardest experience in post-production that I've ever had, and this was the hardest production experience I've ever had, just because we're out in the sun, and the sun isn't out long enough, but it's just, we're working with people who either don't speak English at all, or, the whole crew was, it was a great crew for the most part, but it was just, it was really like a pretty Sisyphean task to get this movie done. Anyway, I didn't have any objectivity, or I was, my nose was against the glass, so I didn't really see anything that was happening.
Well, how comfortably, turn off. I'll just yell. How comfortably do you, thank you. Your hair is fantastic. How comfortably do you wear the title horror director? Because lately I feel like I want to get up and say, Eddington's a comedy.
Yeah, it is. It's just sort of a comedy. No, I look, I wear it comfortably when I'm releasing Hereditary and Midsommar, and I don't wear it so comfortably when I'm releasing Beau is Afraid or Eddington, because those feel like different things to me. And I feel like if you bring those expectations, I don't even think it was bringing that to Eddington. Although I don't know. I feel like there's
I think people brought a lot of their own stuff to Eddington.
yeah. In some cases, some like bad will and bad faith, but the movie was asking for it. That's part of the project. It's to agitate people and, I don't know, be a stinker. But no, I don't consider myself necessarily a horror director, but I love horror, and in this case, I wanted to make this is a hard one because I don't really know what this movie is. It's hard to. It's a horror film. It's a breakup movie. It's like some weird, like ambient. I don't know, like psychedelic vacation movie.
What was the first scene you wrote down?
About this? Well, this was the only film that I ostensibly wrote for hire because I had written but not directed Hereditary, and then this Swedish company, Be Real, wanted to make a folk horror film. That's all they knew about what they wanted to do, and they came to me saying, we want to do like a Swedish folk horror film, and they had references. They were like, you know, I think one was like Green Inferno, or and the obvious one, of course, is Wicker Man. And I turned it down. But I was going through a breakup at the time, a hard breakup, and like a week later, after turning it down, I thought, well, I could write a breakup movie right now, and it would probably be pretty therapeutic and good for me. And I saw how I could hang that on the frame of a folk horror film, and so that was my way in. And so, ironically, what was a job for hire became one of my most personal scripts, and you know, I mean, I felt close enough to it that I wanted to do it right after Hereditary.
I mean, I'm wondering, like, I remember when this film came out, there was, like a promo campaign from A24, like, see Midsommar, win three months of couples therapy, which I'd love to hear a follow-up, like, how that happened for the winners. But this movie, I feel like it feels really personal for a lot of people. Like, I think a lot of people watching it feel like, I'm in this person in a relationship. I've been both sides of the people in this relationship. Walking through the world, having made this movie, I'm guessing people have come up to you and said, I've seen myself in Danny, I've seen myself in Christian, and here's what happened to us. Has anybody broken up because of this movie? Is I guess what I'm trying to ask.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This is probably the film I've made that people come up to me. They seem to have the most attachment to it, and I've always like almost been annoyed by it. But watching it today, I was like, I get it. But I was feeling something at the end because it's been long enough since I made it that I feel pretty detached from it. People come up to me and say, when they tell me that they love it a lot, I think that they're kind of telling on themselves, you know. The idea was to, I don't think I really achieved this, but I wanted to make a film where if you were in a relationship and you were the one who felt kind of like trapped in it, that you would project yourself onto Christian, and if you were feeling neglected or unloved or kind of like desperate in your relationship, that you would attach to Danny.
You don't think you achieved that?
I don't know how easy Christian is to attach yourself to. It's kind of a dick.
Well, he's really the actor and performance I want to talk about, because I love Florence in this, and I think she's so fantastic. We can almost just appreciate that as a fact. Like, I really want to use this time with you to talk about Jack Rayner, because tell me even just about talking to him and deciding where on the spectrum of bad boyfriend you wanted him to fall.
I think in the beginning, what I came to him with was, because I'd seen him in Sing Street, and I just thought he was really charming and charismatic in that, and I just told him, you're, she's in a really desperate place. She has nobody. She's clinging to you, not because she's like a, just this annoying woman, but, from your perspective, but because she is in a really existential place, and you're the only thing holding her up, and you know that. So you can't leave, but you didn't sign up for this, and you're focused on your studies. I mean, of course, I think one thing I almost wish I kept my eye on a little more was like, maybe he should have been like a little bit more competent. He's such a bad academic.
I also love the part where he's giving her a birthday cake and he can't even like the candle on it. Like,
Yeah.
was that written? Was he that just clumsy Jack Rayner?
I was given, the prop people give you options, and they're like, do you want this one that lights easily or the one that doesn't? Christian doesn't get the one that lights easily.
Does Jack know that Jack has been given the one that doesn't like easily?
And he figures it out, yeah.
I mean, really, I think I have become gradually, maybe against my will, and I'm not usually a person who like ships fictional characters. I'm kind of hoping Danny and Pele figure something out. They are the two survivors at the end of this. Do you feel like they have a pocket?
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling that Danny is like eating like chicken feed after this. She's just lost it. But I mean, the honest answer is I wanted that to be the question that audiences would be asking, and I wanted them to want that, but I also, that's the experiment of the film, is like, yeah, this is not a good place for her, and these people are not good for her. Like, she does have codependency problems, and she's replaced one toxic relationship with another. But it was a tonal thing. You can really manipulate people with images and music and kind of mesmerize them into feeling something. And the trick was like, okay, I want to make them feel something that they shouldn't be feeling. Which is catharsis, this is great, like she's, killing him.
I'm happy for her that she's found a community. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they are like, and there's, when they're driving into, the shot that kind of flips upside down is, from the car's point of view, and then you catch the sign that's in Swedish. That's an anti-immigration sign. And, when I was visiting Sweden, like, is it the Socialist Democrats? I'm forgetting. It's they're Nazis. There's a Nazi party there that's really growing. I mean, like, how rare? Only there. And so I wanted that to also be there. Like, yeah, this is a closed community. So yeah, she's being invited in, but there are a lot of other people that are there for this weekend. They're not of use to them.
Have you been to Sweden since this came out?
No, I know that a lot of Swedes find it really funny and like it, which is good. They should. That's what I would hope. But a lot of them, it's like, who's this fucking Jew? Pissing on our ancestral tree.
Well, speaking of, I actually wanted to talk more about the actor that I really think is the big scene stealer, which is Will Poulter.
Yeah.
Great year. He's been on, I think every time I watch this, I get more and more obsessed with his character. Tell me about casting him.
I had seen him in a few things and thought he was really funny and good always. And he auditioned and was great. But he really is so great to have on set. He's like really just like a joy. He's very funny, very easy. I mean, it was a great cast. It was a really special cast. So just to close on Will Poulter, the best. You're all the best. Florence obviously is incredible. Archie Madekwe. It's a really, really great.
This is like Archie's first or second film. Like, this is the first time I ever saw him.
I had never seen him before, and he auditioned and like really won me over immediately. But yeah, just great people. And then for the Horga, it was that half the cast were like Hungarian background actors, but a lot more was being asked of them than what you would usually ask of like extras. You know, they really needed to like learn the language of the Horga, the affect language, and all this stuff. But then we flew in like 24 Swedish actors that were really well-known, like highly esteemed, respected on Swedish stage and film actors. And what we were asking them to do was like really unreasonable, like just like you're basically a background actor for most of your scenes, and then you're gonna have one or two moments where you can really do something. And the Swedes hated the Hungarians, so they set up a special camp for like,
Oh my! No.
So there's so much cooperation on screen, there's a real harmony there that was not. And the Hungarians were like, they hate us, we hate them.
They're a community. Okay. Well, you're walking in
America.
Oh my God.
jamming themselves right in there. Wait, this is like your second film. How are you directing this many? How are you staging this many people? How are you coordinating these like intricate spirals and all the little motions?
Well, it was really tough because, these are all long takes of staging everybody in the background. Like, I really want to make use of, the actors I have. And we actually didn't have as many as I wanted, so I was using everybody in every scene. And that's part of why they're going nuts, because they had like no time off, but they're standing in the sun. Some of these really, in Sweden, they're like big deals, and like here they're like dots in the deep, deep distance. They just got this like pipsqueak with like a giant hat. I was totally afraid of ticks in that field. So I was wearing like a beekeeper's outfit while they're all like in dresses. And,
I can imagine a revolution starting against you.
it felt that way. I mean, by the end, I really felt like we have to wrap this up.
Well, one of those actors I actually want to ask you about in particular, Bjorn Anderson. He's the old man who jumps off the cliff. Because he has a really interesting story that came out only in a documentary recently after Midsommar. I didn't know if you could enlighten us a bit about that.
Yeah, so Bjorn Anderson, who was a really wonderful actor, wonderful guy, and he was in a short film called The Most Beautiful Boy in the World, and he played Tessio in Death in Venice. He played the boy that the man is obsessed with. It was like sort of a wraith of death. And the making of that movie sounds like it was its own horror, because Visconti was, knows what he was doing. Yeah, so I just thought I thought it'd be funny to take the most beautiful boy in the world and have him jump off a cliff.
I think I've heard from people who think, if you look up pictures of Death in Venice, if you haven't seen Death in Venice, you look at the stills, I've heard that it was Bjorn Anderson's face that then became kind of the model for all handsome anime boys in all anime through history. And he's here, as your symbol of end of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I mean, it also, actually, I kind of want to ask you this, like, how are you as a director? I've heard that you can be a little exacting, but I'm wondering how exacting can you be when you're dealing with this many people?
Well, very exacting. I do feel like I'm a slightly different director now than I was when I made this. I was watching this and I'm like, oh, this is a lot of these things I wouldn't do now.
Like what?
Well, I think I just, well, I mean, just like, one thing I think I learned, because the first cut of this movie was 4.5 hours long. And I was watching this and I was like, yeah, no shit, it was 4.5 hours long. These are endless scenes. And so I think one thing I had to learn with my first two films, because Hereditary was also a lot longer, there's a lot of cutting on the floor, is like, some scenes are small scenes. They're just there for information. But I treated everything as like, worthy of like a long take. And I found it very painful to cut the scenes or cut into them because they weren't designed that way. But if I didn't do that, the film would be very, very long. So in that way, I think I've learned a little bit. I'm still kind of beholden to my own like internal clock, and I think I like things to linger more than maybe some. But there are just some of those shots, like in the morning when Will Poulter and William Jackson Harper are walking over to Pele in the morning, and not much is happening in that scene. You have them throwing the ashes on the tree, and we revolve around to see them, chopping the effigy, and then we revolve around again to have, it's not much is happening there, but there's a lot happening in the background that has to land exactly where it has to land. And I think we did 40 takes of that, and so, I don't let all of them go. Like if it's blown, we start again. But to do a shot like that right, everything has to fall into place. And I think I would really now I would be very careful about where I do something like that, because you're prioritizing. You're not prioritizing any one thing. Like you're just hoping that everything lands into place in one shot.
But on that note, like the camera work here is just such a star. The way that you pan, move, reveal information in the course of one shot. Like, what is your just basic storyboarding, drafting process? How do you construct these shots in your head before you put them on paper? Like, tell me. I just want to understand how your brain works.
Well, with this and with Hereditary, I was able to really do it entirely in my head because we built that village in a totally untouched field. So I kind of needed to work out the whole movie to know where I needed all the buildings and so I would say I didn't go to anybody in the crew until I had an entire shot list for both of those two films, which I don't do now, because I find that it locks us into things. I'm locking the actors into things, like, they really didn't have much freedom, which some actors want, some actors find crazy. And then on Beau is Afraid, I kind of knew, I think I need to like shake myself out of this a little bit. I need to like bring in some sort of a wild card that like forces me to have to be on my toes a little bit more and not just execute a plan.
Is that wild card Walking Phoenix?
Yeah, it was. And it was really, that was working with him on that, and then again on Eddington, I think no matter what you think of the films, like I think I became a better director.
This is just kind of a throwaway question for me, because I'm really curious. I have not been to a Halloween party since this film came out, or haven't seen at least one person dressed like Florence Pugh, covered in flowers. And I am curious for you, have you ever dressed up as a movie reference for Halloween?
I don't really do anything for Halloween. But as a kid, I always had my dad drive me to Party City, and I'd get a mask. It says masks, so I would just wear a mask and trick or treat. But no, I haven't. I don't really.
You're anti-Halloween?
Yeah, no, I love Halloween. I don't know. When was the last time I dressed up?
Well, did you keep any like props or masks from this movie?
You know what? I'm so annoyed with myself because on the last two films, I've made sure to keep some things. On my two flops, I made sure. Box office flops. Box office. But oh my God. Okay, here's a story for Hereditary. Day of wrap. I'm so exhausted, and my feeling was just like, I fucked up. And I had a couple of friends visiting me on set in Utah, and I was like, let's go to her workshop. And there's a bunch of her miniatures. Let's just fuck them up. There were a couple of them where I just destroyed them. And then the rest of them got taken away and I think by the financier. But I think what was I doing? Why didn't I keep those miniatures? They're so beautiful, and I worked so hard with the miniaturist on making those. And then you'd think that because then I realized in retrospect, oh fuck, those would have been worth something. But also even just for they would hold sentimental value. I would love to have those in my house. And then on Midsommar, I think they gave me one of the costumes for one of the Horgo women. I don't know where it is. So I didn't hold on to anything from those two movies.
I think a beautiful letting go also has its place in the universe. You've mentally set it all on fire, said goodbye, smiled, and we should wrap up for a second, but I do want to ask a question too, just because it's Bleak itself. When Ari Aster comes home after a long day and decides to put in a movie, do you put in a Bleak movie, or do you put in a Will Ferrell comedy?
Depends on the night, I mean, I love a wallow. I'm all about Bleak Week. It's a great new tradition, and I'm very happy to be included. I love romantic comedies. I was thinking about how it's such a shame there are no romantic comedies anymore. I mean, every now and then, but I just talked on my best friend's wedding theater. It's great.
Would you ever make something like that?
Totally. Yeah.
You should. I dare you. I'm daring you. On that note, this was great for Bleak Week audience because it is about coming together, weeping, crying, moaning, groaning together, which is what everybody's been doing all weekend. These are the people who managed to get tickets immediately before it sold out. So congratulations to all of you who quicker fingers on buttons than anybody else I know. And then Ari Aster, thank you. And I think we should all say goodbye to you in the way that this film applauds and waves, which is this. Thank you for being here. Bye.
Thank you.